The new cell phone is transparent aluminum, 3 by 5 inch screen, 3D holographic. It has a 200 lumen video projector. And then when you set it down, it has pop-up AirTouch keyboard, just like Minority Report. Really state-of-the-art stuff. And it's not a 4 gigabyte, it's 1 terabyte. We're talking 128 gigs on a 20 nano chip to a terabyte for efficiency, memory. The 200 lumen is in high resolution Blu-ray, and it puts out a 4-foot screen. Set it down next to your computer, it talks to your computer, transfers all the information from your computer into the cell phone and puts it up on a 4-foot screen. Just for, it also has a 2-inch by 2-inch transducer, it's called a subspace transducer. It's a microphone, it's a speaker, and it's also an antenna. Has a 38-mile range, can operate 100 feet underground, underwater, can read minerals up to 100 feet underground because it works in subspace. Now think of the hydrogen atom. You have an electron and you have a proton. This goes into space between the electron and the proton. As you know, all objects that we touch are held together by atoms. Atoms run on electromagnetics. But this operates in the space between the atoms and the electrons in subspace. Therefore, it can transmit 38 miles between towers and also operates underground. So this is the next stealth technology. That doesn't exist anymore with this new technology. The military's had this for 12 years and it's been declassified because all the other militaries in the world now have it, so they're going to make it available to the public. So this is going to be the new cell phones coming out. Even though your Galaxy 3 might be pretty special at the cell phone store, this next generation cell phone is going to be something else. It's going to be Star Trek material. And, well, you've got a really good patent here, right? Written in adverb verb. And I was at this meeting with 5 electronics firms that the Chinese government invited me to be there. We had the guy that developed the subspace technology back in 2000, Michael, and Joseph was a Nikola Tesla electronics genius. He built 4 of these Nikola Tesla coils. So bring these 2 guys together, and they got this great electronics patent. So when we went ahead and we brought this patent back the next morning, we had 2 3-star generals, 1 2-star general was flown in. We had 5 electronics firms, 3 translators, and the 5 presidents from the electronics companies. And they said, and there was 1 nuclear physicist from Beijing also. Now, how many of you know about the object in Greenland? A couple of you, okay. Well, for those of you that don't know, there is a spacecraft that has melted out of the ice in Greenland. As you know, the North Pole has melted completely. You can go from London to Moscow or to Russia by going over the North Pole now. All the ice cap is gone. The last place that has ice on it was Greenland. Greenland had a 18,000-foot ice cap on it. Well, the spacecraft that is anchored in the center of Greenland created the last ice age 50,000 years ago. It's a weather machine. It's 55 miles wide, 300 miles long, and 2 miles high. The people that lived in it were called the Mois. If you draw a straight line from the spacecraft to the Washington Monument in Washington, D.C., through the Yucatan Peninsula Great Pyramid at Mitsubishi, it ends up on Easter Island where the Mois have been dug out of this dirt. The heads on Easter Island, well, 2 years ago they finally went ahead and they excavated, and they're all 65 to 85-foot people, full-body carvings. And these were the people that lived in the spacecraft that was uncovered that's melting out of the ice in Greenland. So when you think we've been alone, these people have been up there for 50,000 years. The spacecraft is still active after 50,000 years. It has a 200-mile dampening field where no electrons can flow into it. In 1947, a B-52 bomber flew into that pattern into the dampening field when trying to fly between Maine and London. As a result of that, they lost power and crashed in Greenland. As they sent in rescue B-52 bombers to rescue them, they hit that same dampening field, but they veered off. They just ricocheted off of it. And by testing, trying to get to these guys, they were able to bring a circumference and find out that there was an object 200 miles to the center of this field. On the southwest corner of Greenland, there is a small community. It's the only community on the island of Greenland. That community is a military post, CIA, that uses a compressed air generator to operate diesel engines to run a Caterpillar to run back and forth to 200 miles from the base to the object in Greenland. A lot of our technology comes from the reverse engineering out of the spacecraft. It is still functional and is still in operation. So it's pretty important what this thing is. All the nations worldwide are up there with the United Nations, and they're all working together. The point is that we're not alone out here in this universe. The reason I bring this up is, if no one ever went to war over a math problem amongst humans, don't you think it would also be logical that we wouldn't go to war with E.T. when he shows up? And if E.T. does show up, what are we going to do? Babble? Start a war between another planet because of miscommunications? No, we need a communication base that is so mathematically certified, both frontwards and backwards, that when we say something, it means exactly what we say, so that there is no subjective interpretation, translation. So it's very important for us to be correct 100% of the time when we're dealing with ET. Otherwise, they're going to throw a rock at us like they did 375 million years ago at the Yucatan Peninsula and get rid of the dinosaurs, which you all know about. So we don't want to have rocks thrown at us. So the planet, all the governments of the planet are looking at this math interface as being a correct way to communicate, stop wars on planet Earth, as well as communicate with ET when they show up. And as many of you who do the research and get on the internet know that there's probably a lot of different ETs already influencing this planet with all of our little toys that we have, our cell phones and computers and TVs. So it is relevant. The school systems in China are adapting our quantum program. All the universities and colleges are going to be teaching it this year. As a result of these patents that came out from my 23 days in China, they realized that they were going to order all 150 trade partners to follow suit. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to do business with China. The biggest new thing that's coming on the market is the word lithium. Lithium makes for the batteries. Now, China currently controls 80% of the lithium on planet Earth. 20%, the other 20% was known to be in Mount Weld in Australia, better known as the Linus mine. It's a 1 cubic mile of lithium that they've uncovered. Colombia, 3 years ago, somebody wanted to find out how big the salt flats were. So they drilled down 15 meters into the salt. And they found a 25 square mile a pure lithium bed of lithium. Enough lithium for the next 200 years to build about 600 billion automobile batteries. Yeah. So now if you add thorium to lithium, you can get 8 times more power out of the same size battery. Think of an ordinary car battery made out of lithium thorium that would have the power to drive a car 400 miles with a 4-minute recharge. That's all. Now, that's technology. I know battery technology. I built my first perpetual motion motor when I was 16 years old, my first laser beam when I was 12. I've been on a cutting edge of weird, futuristic stuff ever since I was a little kid. And if you do enough research on me, you're going to find out that I was taken when I was 8 years old. I went into a UFO for 3.5 hours. They put a machine on top of my head. And whatever they did to me, they put all this information into my head. And why I've been able to build this program without any interruptions from anybody for the last 32 years. do the math. We're a young planet. We're a young species amongst the billions of years that this world's been around. The proof of that is in the spacecraft up in Greenland, that they've been here 50,000 years ago. And those guys were 65 to 85 feet tall. They had dinosaurs. The world was big way back when. Now everything is small. Question?
Yeah, you talked a couple times about ETs. What exactly are they, or what's the purpose?
There's been millions of sightings worldwide of spacecrafts, right? Even a couple weeks ago, opening night of the Olympics. Anybody watch that on TV? In London, they had the fireworks went off above the stadium, and that's a no-fly zone because of security. And there was a UFO above the stadium, about 50, 60 feet in diameter, because everything went up in so many different spectrums of light. It was cloaked, had a cloaking device, but because of the amount of light frequencies from the explosives of all the different fireworks, chemical light, it illuminated the spacecraft above the stadium. And it was on YouTube, and over 200 different countries videotaped it. And they tried to play it down as being a balloon in the air. There was no balloons up there. There was no blimps. There was no aircrafts. But E.T. was up there watching.